Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. This is the week in review for late November. This is Thanksgiving week, and I, for one, am very thankful and grateful, for the community of believers I'm surrounded by, and the community of gamers that I am surrounded by, and the great grace I've been given in the opportunities that I've had this year. Wonderful co-workers, wonderful friends. Can't go wrong with that. Thank God for Thanksgiving, and thank God for all that I've been given, including the opportunity to do a week in review. On that front, let's talk about the news. Okay, well, a couple things this week. One, I mentioned it's Thanksgiving, and that means Black Friday deals, which I've already mentioned. There'll be a lot of Black Friday shopping, I'm sure. There are some deals going on always in local areas. If you're blessed to have a local friendly gaming store, please check out their deals and try and help them out. This is a year that's pretty pivotal for board game, or a time of the year that's pivotal for board game stores, and a lot of them have some pretty screaming deals, and it's an opportunity to go in and kind of even see what's new for Christmas. Some of the things I've mentioned in my current videos on what kind of games to buy for the holidays. I've done the light and the medium games. I'll be doing heavy games, solo games, disappointments, and then my top 10 games of 2017. That'll be coming up later this week or next week. And that it. Another news on a digital front, Seven Wonders, one of the best games I've been able to play over the years with friends and family. Seven Wonders is a game of civilization building that's very easy in comparison to some of the more complicated civilization building games, but well received by most everyone that I've introduced it to. There is a digital version that has been taking years and years and years to come out, and it has finally come out for iPad only, which is disappointing. Nevertheless, that's the way it is. With a limited multiplayer, limited thing. It's not what it could have been, clearly. In looking at it, there's a lot of opportunities missed currently that I hope they take advantage of later. But it's out there for those of you who have Apple technology in the form of an iPad. You may play Seven Wonders to your heart's content. I'm probably going to skip on it just because I tend to play more on Steam. I'd like to see it on Steam, and without the ability to play synchronous multiplayer, probably not that interesting to me, but it's there for you all to take advantage of if you wish. Once again, Seven Wonders on the iPad, available through the Apple Store. And with that, let's get to the Q&A section. Okay, so one of the questions I get asked, like last week, was what's the greatest game of all time that you played? This one is, how much have you spent on a board game? And the answer to that is, I have spent $119 on one game, and that game was Gloomhaven. And the answer is no. That is extraordinarily rare. I don't do that a lot. I don't buy games top dollar. Gloomhaven was a very, very unique difference. And I also had Christmas money and gift cards, and so really effectively out of pocket it ended up being about 40 bucks. But Gloomhaven is a game that will take you a year or two to play through as a group or singularly. And so cost-wise, when you think about that, someone to invest that many hours into it will get their money back for it. That said, Gloomhaven was also a phenomenon because the designer did not expect the success, and in fact ordered, I guess, manufactured a few thousand copies, which ended up getting like trickled to stores, not realizing the demand was humongous. And so they did a second Kickstarter to try to fund it, and ended up making millions and millions of dollars on millions of orders of this game. It is a phenomenon, so it is a rare exception. How much do I average pay? I try to keep it in the $20 to $40 range when I buy games, and generally speaking, thanks to Miniature Market or Cool Stuff Inc., sometimes Amazon, I can keep it to that. Although sometimes when there are deals at the local places, I choose local places if possible. But that's the answer to the question. It's 120 bucks. Don't do it every day. Probably will not do that again unless I find something that's in that same situation where it's extraordinarily rare and I know that I'm going to get way more back out of it than I would spend. But normally you don't spend 120 bucks on a game. That's silly. And on that, let's go to our 3 games of the week. All right, in homage of this week, I have to give some games that are thematically representative of Thanksgiving, or at least to some degree. First off, what is Thanksgiving for some of us without some football? First and goal, I'm not a big fan of sports games on board game format. Har har har. Matter of fact, I'm not even that big on them on console or PC format. I tend to just want to go play the sport, not deal with some abstract recreation. There are exceptions. Baseball Highlights 2045 was a great baseball game that I think kept my interest. First and Goal is for football, kind of the top of the line for me. There's been Pizza Box football and Stratomatic football and all of those get number crunchy, and a lot of them get just kind of like, yeah, I'm rolling dice. It's kind of like football. This one really actually fills the theme better in some ways because it's simpler. Because simpler in some ways, but not in others. It actually, the trigger point for this, and the reason why I like it over others, is because when you are choosing your play, and your enemy defense is choosing their play, or you're going back and forth, it's not just, oh, I triggered the right spot, you triggered the wrong spot, I get X yards, you don't. It's not very binary in that regard. There are ranges. There's really kind of fairly realistic and, you know, high level ranges of plays you'll pick. On 3rd and 4, you might have some defenses you're like, this works pretty well, you know, or do I take a risk? Do I blitz? Do I not? And the thing is, those blitzes aren't just like, oh, well, the blitz worked, the blitz didn't. There is a sort of a bunch of multicolored die, and each of those dies is representative of some action that can take place. In a rare moment, you could like just have it, just the pass fails, just flat out fails. Or you could have a running play where the guy fumbles the ball. These are rare things that happen, and they're rare enough that it doesn't like blow away the flow of the game. But then there's plays like, oh, you roll this dice if you're going to try a long bomb or a long pass or medium pass, you know, whatever. And even if you succeed, you have to decide is, you know, that the actual amount you gain is relative to the play you call. It's surprisingly realistic. The expansions really help because they give kind of a unique. And these division packs will kind of give it, like in this division, running is more powerful because that's how that division runs. 1st and Goal, definitely I would give it a 7.5, probably an 8. If I was going to buy a football game, this is the one. Now what happens in Thanksgiving? Well, the Pilgrims and all that. Can't think of any really awesome Pilgrim games. Kind of. That's okay. But, you know, the Indians, okay, it's a loose tie, but hey, I like his hair. He's got cool hair. Comancheria is a solo game that emulates the history of the Comanche tribe across multiple generations. It is intensely complex for someone just off the street to go, how do you play this? How do I move my Indian pieces? Well, you don't. In it, you're going for survival, and forces are happening around you. Civilizations coming in, other tribes are coming in. At times you're raiding, at times you're attacking, although attacking isn't necessarily the end-all be-all here. You're looking for ways to continue your legacy. You have different groups. You have your specialty warriors, and I'm not going to get too much into details, but there's a nice track of flow where events happen around you, and it really creates a story. And I love a narrative. We all know that. It really creates the story of the Comanches each and every play. It's tough. This is a tough game. I did learn it, and I did try it, and I got through the scenarios, but I'm darned if I could actually beat this game yet. But Comancheria, for someone who's not afraid of a lot of rules and a lot of you know, detailed steps, this is a 9 clearly. But warning, there is a level of complexity that you'll have to overcome in order to really enjoy it at its fullest. And finally, what happens after Thanksgiving turkey? When you've eaten everything and the stuffing's still in your soul and the pumpkin pie is still in your belly and the chocolate pie. Pie. Well, some of you off to Black Friday shopping, which is a lot less interesting than it used to be now that the internet has Cyber Monday and you can just get a bunch of deals sent to your door. But there was a time when it was exciting. And for a lot of people it still is. Black Friday from Friedman Freeze has nothing to do with actually going shopping. It is a stock market game that is intense and thematic. This is a timing game. You invest into stocks. Everyone else is investing in stocks. You're choosing how much you own, how much you don't, when you buy, when you sell, how you accrue basically money. It's really weird. It took me a couple times through to actually understand how to play it. Friedman Freeze is known for some out-of-the-box ideas on how games should flow. This isn't his best game. it's that would definitely be Power Grid, but it's definitely something I think is a little underrated, mostly because it wasn't the best rule book in my opinion for understanding what to do. But once you get into it and you're playing with it, and I would play it with 3 at least. The buying and selling, yeah, this is entertaining without being bogged down in number crunching numerica. So Black Friday, I would give it probably a 6.5. I bring it out every once in a while, but it's not something I would play laboriously and all the time. And that's our 3 games of the week. Next, like I said, later this week, I'll be doing the light games. No, I did the light games. I lie. And then I did the medium games, and so I'll be doing at least the heavy games and probably the solo games of 2017. So look for those this week. Finally, here is our secret picture of the week. Just out of curiosity, if anyone can guess what game this little image is from, you will get a nice clap, a hairy clap. And that will be it. So thanks again, and we will see you next time on Harebrained Games.